Welcome back to the Webby and O'Neill channel. Thanks for joining us for another video. CEO Omar Berrada had some tasty comments on Tuesday, likening Cunha's swagger to the actual legend that is Eric Cantona, also reaffirming his belief in Project 150. We want to discuss it plus more in today's video, so have your say and get involved. How are you feeling today?
I'm feeling all right after reading Omar Berrada's statement. It's so optimistic. I forgot all about last year. We're on our way. He's so optimistic. It's unbelievable. Some of the things he's doubled down on from previous statements and that. But he's just ignored everything what's gone on, sort of like accepted it. So he's moving forward. A lot of United fans out there can't move forward. He believes everything's sorted. That's how I read that statement, that we're on the right path. But to be honest with you, I think the reality of life in and around Manchester United, I don't think he's quite got hold of it.
Yeah, I've got to be honest with you, the last season it has like chipped a little bit away at me in terms of being like 100% positive going into next season. I've got to see some more transfers coming in besides Cunha, but we will get on to what he'd said about transfers. I also want to know your opinions on the fixture list that was released this morning. Arsenal first up here at Old Trafford, so let us know what you think about that. But what did you make about his comments on Cunha and the likeness towards Cantona?
Unbelievable.
Yeah. Absolutely
Unbelievable. I think there'll be people out there in the football world just scratching their heads as if to say, where's that comparison come from? I mean, when we signed Cantona, there was a player there, we've seen it, from Leeds, great goal scorer, a presence, everything. Yes, he's got something about him, Cunha, there's no two ways about it. But for a CEO of Manchester United to come out and say that about Cunha, I am absolutely baffled. I don't know where he's getting it from. Some people say it's through confidence, some people say it's through bluster. Some people actually say he's absolutely clueless to the reality of what's around him. But to put that pressure on him, it's as though like, here we are, we've got Eric Cantona, we've got him in the style of Eric Cantona. This player is going to take us forward. Well, Eric Cantona, when we got him, was the last piece of the jigsaw, as far as I was concerned, from a really good side. And I mean a really good side. This side has just had its worst season. So Cantona, the swagger and everything else like that, Cunha's not going to bring that. What you want from Cunha is a hard-working, hard graft and to get the goals. Not someone like Cantona. You want someone who's going to work and fight for this team, okay? Cantona was a luxury we could afford. Great footballer, great in everything he did while he was at Manchester United. I loved him, I adored him. But for Omar Berrada, I got to laugh. To say this about a player, I don't know what he's looking at. I just don't know what he's looking at.
It's like human nature, isn't it? Sometimes to compare, constantly comparing players especially. And Cunha is Cunha. He's not Eric Cantona. But we do need him to make a similar impact, I suppose, in terms of what he actually gives to the team week in, week out, surely. And other players as well. I mean, there's a lot of players who were here even last year. They need to step up as well.
I don't think there's anybody out there who puts Cunha on a level of Cantona or anywhere near him. I just don't see it. Just don't see it.
To be fair, though, if you take yourself back to when we first signed Bruno Fernandes, in particular, them first 5-6 months, I do remember a lot of people suggesting he's like making a similar impact as maybe Cantona did, which I didn't really, get on board with myself, but I do remember quite a few people saying that.
Yeah, but that's football fans, isn't it? In the heat of the moment. This is a CEO who's supposed to be driving this football club forward with his vision and everything. And if he's got a vision, and a lot of people are saying it, if he's got a vision of this Cunha being like Cantona, then he's clueless. He's absolutely clueless. I don't know anybody what can turn round on watching Cunha and sort of put him on a level anywhere near that level. I mean, it'd be fantastic if it does, don't get me wrong. And then all hands up, and then we all have to wipe our mouth about Omar Berrada coming out with this comment. But it's a comment a CEO should not even be saying.
Yeah.
He shouldn't be,
I was a little bit shocked about it.
I want him to run the football club.
Yeah.
Like I say, he's just doubling down and he's making more outrageous statements. I mean, some of it in its entirety is okay, but some of it just makes him look foolish and desperate. That's how I look at it. I think he's desperate to get some decent PR out there, but he shouldn't be saying it. He shouldn't be talking like this. It's not what a CEO should be doing.
Yeah, to make the comparisons, especially with the side back then in 92, 93, compared to what the actual squad is here now at Manchester United, where we finished in the Premier League last season. It's like polar opposites, and I do think it just puts that added pressure on Cunha, especially now to perform from minute one in a Manchester United shirt.
I think Cunha will be looking at it and thinking, who's this geezer talking about? Who's he talking about? I do this, I do that. I'm nothing like Eric Cantona.
Yeah.
You know, but what it does tell you is what he's thinking about football as players, what he's going for and everything else like that. What's in his head. I mean, I never ever... I couldn't compare Cunha to anybody, to be honest with you, right? Yeah. But we are a poor side, the worst side, and putting that on him, I just don't get it. And a lot of people out there are just saying it's all bluster. He's just clueless. He doesn't know what he's talking about. And he's just reiterating and doubling down on things there, which makes him look weak, to be honest with you, as though he doesn't know what he's doing. But, hey, that's my opinion. And I just don't fully understand what he said. Some of the things in the article I get and why he's saying it. But there's quite a bit in there what just leaves me head scratching.
What did Cunha cost now? Was it 62 million?
Yeah.
Eric Cantona cost, was it 1.2 million, if my memory serves me right? I mean, an absolute bargain, but I mean, even the fees, I mean, it's just absolute madness for him to come out with that, in my opinion. A few people in the chat are saying it's diabolical, really, from a CEO. But Antel says, lads, Berrada is not comparing Cunha to Cantona in terms of playing style. He's saying in terms of attitude and the difference he could make to the team. I totally get that, mate. Got it up on screen for you earlier, but he is saying the comparisons in terms of swagger as well. And you do get a gist of it, in my opinion, reading between the lines, that he feels he could make that sort of impact Cantona had. And for me, I just think it's way, way too early. Let's get the first Premier League game over and done with first, and that's up against Arsenal.
What I'll get the first pre-season game over and done with. Yeah. Never mind the Arsenal game. Listen, he mentions the name Cantona. That's the headline. So whatever he talks about, he uses the name Cantona, so you can look at it and go, oh, he's not talking about that, or he's talking about it, how the Cantona influence and everything, and that Cunha will bring that. Shouldn't be talking like that. Shouldn't be using a legend's name like that for Cunha in any way whatsoever. So for me, absolutely. Listen, Berrada believes United are on the right path, and that's what you want to hear. And you want to hear what he's doing to do that with inside the club, how it's going to be run, how we get rid of the deadwood, how we do the culture, we sort that out and all that. He believes now that this is the start, but it's not the start with Cunha, like leading us to greatness. Absolutely not, because that's how it's portrayed when he uses the name Cantona. We're going to get there. We're going to win the league soon and all that. So for me, it's ill-advised comparing one player in any manner, in any way, what he does, especially Cunha to Cantona. Cameron
says, can they stop referencing the past? And you did get a feel, especially if a few months ago, maybe going back before Christmas, of Jim Ratcliffe's interviews, he does quite a lot, as we know, but it was as though, like, really, they're trying to stamp out all that talk and looking back into the past under the great years under Sir Alex Ferguson, where they're trying to build their own history going forward. And then for Berrada to go back, likening Cunha to Cantona, I'm just not fully on board with it. I mean, Cunha needs to make his own name here at Manchester United in a shirt, and I am positive he will have a good impact, but let's wait and see. It's very, very early days for Cunha and whoever else they want to bring in, to be honest with you. But yeah, I had up on screen for you about Omar Berrada talking about his Project 150 plan, and he's reaffirming it. You know, at least he's got a plan, though. You know, without no plan, you're just going round in circles, I suppose.
Well, the club's not going to accept failure going forward, and he, like I say, he wants to win the title in 2028. And when I've said before, he's doubling down on it. I think he should have just left that. I think on the back of the season we've just had, and we've actually, the reality is we've only signed one player, and he's comparing him to Cantona. I think he should have just ignored that. There was no need to push it. He said it already. Of where he believes United should be in 2028, and I think he should have left it. I think when he talks about going back in the past, ex-players and all that, legends, Cantona and all that, it's all PR. I don't like it. I just don't like it. Yes, they want to make their own thing, but they've got to sort out the club, and we all know what they've been doing with the club. It's just nothing but penny pinching, money, money, money.
No, but what I also do like about it, though, from a positive aspect, is he's putting pressure on himself and he's putting pressure on people inside the club, what probably hasn't been there in the last 10 or so years, from, you know, people at the top right down to the manager and players. And he will have to take responsibility for that, and I'm sure he will do, because of him reaffirming that statement that we will get to the Premier League in 2028. So for things like having a plan and a direction, you know, a strategy to get us there, I'm all for that, to be honest with you, but time will tell whether that actually happens.
Well, I've spoke to a few people who've read it, and it's like some people have said he's like ignoring last season's problems. Like, it's nothing to do with him. They understood it was going to happen, and they've dismissed it. But what they have done with this, what Berrada has done with this statement, it's as though like he's dissolved himself of any blame, Ineos especially, going forward, and that it's all down to the manager now, because he talks about the manager knowing everything what's gone on. He shouldn't have really been here until July the 1st. I think that's what he said, but he understands, the manager understands all the problems inside the club and everything. So really he's had a boost, Ruben Amorim, that he knows all the problems, we're sorting it out. Now it's down to you, Ruben. Everything's sorted. You've seen all the problems. Now you do it. You're the manager. You're the coach, whatever people want to call him. So we're giving you the tools to go and sort it out, because we're confident we're going to win the league in 2028. And if we don't do well next season, it's nothing to do with us. You've had a bonus, Ruben Amorim. You've been in here 9 months earlier than you should have been. So you shouldn't have a problem going forward. He's dissolved himself of any blame going forward. It's all down to the manager, as far as a few of us who spoke yesterday about this statement. It's all down to the manager.
What, I mean last season? Last season's performance?
Going forward, it's all down to the manager. We've seen the problems. He's had 9 months inside this club, okay, and all the problems were there, and we've dealt with it, and Ruben Amorim fully understands it, and we're giving him the backing, so he should know what to do, and away we go, because we expect United to improve. That's what he said.
Let me get some key quotes out from what he did actually discuss Berrada on Ruben Amorim. Before we do that, Fred Grantham, Fred the Red, has gifted 5 memberships. 5 people have been gifted their memberships.
Thank you.
Big thank you to Fred. So yeah, Berrada on Amorim said, We saw Amorim as an investment for the following seasons to get to know the squad, the club and the Premier League. Had Ruben started on July the 1st, 2025, he wouldn't have been able to have all that knowledge. He's suffered in the Premier League and the team has suffered. That's why I feel that it's really going to help us in the future. And to be honest, I'm actually glad he said that from my personal point of view, because I've been saying it ever since January on a regular basis, that I hoped him coming in November give him a head start to get a real understanding, not just on the Premier League, but more importantly, this squad's, instead of coming in July, having the majority of the squad that started the season here in July, like your Rashford, your Anthony, possibly maybe even your Sanchos, and they bluff him in the pre-season. You know, everything's hunky-dory. You always see it on social media. You know, great day in training, lads, you know, fully behind the manager. As soon as that Premier League hits, bang, some of them just down to start walking around the pitch. Now, he's got a full and a good understanding of a lot of these players. So, for me, no excuses there. He should have a full understanding, like the people in the side of the club, like you Wilcoxes, who should be there and who shouldn't be. It's just a matter of trying to get them out the door, the people who shouldn't be, or the players, shall I say.
Listen, there is no excuses for Ruben Amorim. I've said it many times, along with you, Kieran, on here, right? That he should know everything, what's wrong with this club, and he should also know how to go forward, Ruben Amorim, with this squad, and he should also know who he wants in, wants out. There is no excuses for Ruben Amorim knowing what to do with this football team and how to set it up with this squad. No excuses whatsoever. I'm just saying Berrada has threw it all on his toes now, as if to say, we've sorted all the problems out. It's been fantastic having Ruben Amorim in 9 months early, because all the problems are there, they've been dealt with, and Ruben Amorim knows what to do, right? I think he's got a massive task. I don't think he knows what he's fully got to do. The problems aren't going to go away. There will be many still in there, and we're going to see it over the coming season. All I'm saying about Omar Berrada's statement is he has distanced himself now going forward. He is saying that everything is in place. All the problems should have been identified and overcome. And Ruben Amorim, away you go into the season. Let's have some success.
Yeah, just diving into the chat. A couple of people saying, smash that like button, doing my job, much appreciated. So I'll say it out loud, be much appreciated. Thomas Kozlowski, thanks for your super chat. Let's Cunha show experiences in the games, fingers crossed. So I think he's basically saying that, you know, when Cunha does come, let's see how he does actually handle the pressure here at Manchester United as well, I think. But thanks for your super chat, mate.
Listen, handling the pressure at Manchester United, you hope he can do that. And it's the same with every player. Some do, some don't. And it might work for him and it might not. We're all crossing our fingers, because that's all you can do, to walk into this club. And he's a good player. There's no two ways about it. He's a goal scorer. But to walk into this squad and expect one man to turn it round and then bring an improvement. Well, what's an improvement? You know, I said on the interview yesterday we did with Mark Goldbridge, I said 8th. I'm looking at 8th. I find that as an improvement, because how many players are you really going to bring in here? 3 maximum. That's what I've said, and that's the story. That's what's going round now. But I've been saying it for months. That's what's going to happen, and it doesn't look as though there's going to be any more. So how big of an improvement? He's got a tough task, Cunha, at the moment, to turn this round. Any player coming in. But failure, what is failure? I don't see failure being 8th. But will Omar Berrada, that is the thing, will he see 8th as failure? Because he talks about budgeting for the Europa League. Well, you're not getting Europa League with 8th. And I don't see higher than 8th when you look at all the other sides. So I think Berrada, very optimistic.
What did you think about his comments comparing Amorim, the situation, and the situation with Pep Guardiola as well at City when he first come in his first season? I mean, just a little snippet of what he did say, Berrada. He said Pep stuck to his principles. He was allowed that first year to be below par, then created a winning cycle. Now, my first thoughts were, well, City already won the league, though, before Pep Guardiola come in. You know, their actual footballing strategy was in place near enough before Pep Guardiola come in, and he just brought a footballing style to, like, suit that, because I think you had that Tiki Biggestan, I don't think I pronounced his name right, from Barcelona. He was already in the background as well, making sure everything in terms of the football operations was going the right direction.
I don't understand Berrada saying this. 2 different clubs at different times. City was on the up. They were getting rid of all the deadwood. They were going forward. All they were doing was bringing in the class. And then Pep Guardiola was the... there he was. He was in there putting top-notch man. What have we got? We've got a club, right, what's just gone through an absolute abysmal last 10 years. City were on the up. To compare or even make any sort of comparison between Pep Guardiola and what's here now at Old Trafford, I think this is the thing about...
I mean, he's trying to compare it for me personally. Like I say, City had already, you know, won the Premier League, and he's
chalk and cheese.
Yeah, it's like, is he trying to just like copy Manchester City's blueprint? I mean, to make the comparisons...
No money.
Exactly. Well, there's no money.
There's no money. City had everything.
If you're trying to look at it and compare it, there's not really any foundations there. There's not even any foundations right now at Manchester United compared to what there was at City before Guardiola walked through the door. The foundations had already been implemented way before that.
But this is the thing about the statement, what we've read. You know, people were saying he's clueless. Don't know what he's talking about. He don't know what the reality is. A lot of the things in there he shouldn't have said. There's one or two things in there I'm fine with. But there was no need for him to come out and do all this PR, because that's what it is to me. I just look at it and it's PR. And it's just like, I just don't, he's doubling down on things there. And he's talking fantasy land. From a CEO of what I regard as the biggest club in the world, I just think he's not with reality at times. And I think he will pay for it in the future, to be honest with you, especially if we don't get Europa League or Champions League, because that's what he's expecting. And I don't see that.
Yes, he was also mentioning that the worst is behind us as well. We've taken all the short-term pain in this season. As for the summer, the worst bit is going to be behind us. I sit here today and I'm actually very optimistic. We want to build something sustainable. And like I said earlier on the positive side, I'm all for that, having a plan, a strategy and trying to put things in place. I'm sure all of us out there want to see that as well, instead of going round in circles year after year, maybe winning a domestic cup, but really masking the real problems at the football club. But, you know, at the time right now, you know, certain things, comparisons, what he's making, he just doesn't need to say them. No. It's as simple as that. I mean, you could just give a load of PR waffle, really, and come out with comparisons with Cunha, his swagger, and Cantona, comparing Pep's time and his first season, comparing it to Amorim's first season here at United. I mean, it's two totally different clubs, structures at the times that's happened.
He's confident the worst is behind us. Well, I don't think going forward everything's going to be hunky-dory. I still think we'll have ups and downs and there will be some chaotic moments, okay? Because it's not going to turn round in 4 months. From the end of the season to the start of the season, we're just bringing in 1 or 2 players, sorting out the culture, everything else like that. People actually doing the job. As I've said before, inside there, the morale is on the floor inside that football club. So for me, he talks about the worst is behind us. Listen, there's a lot of pain still to come. You do not turn round a club what has been in decline for the last 10, 15 years, right, in 4 months. And that's basically what he's saying. After a season we've had, the worst footballing season I've ever seen. So for me, bluster, confidence. People say, you can call it bluster, you can call it confidence. But to be honest with you, I just think he's clueless at times.
Yeah, he's also talking about, well, apologising to staff and fans, admitting he'd made mistakes over job cuts and pricing and took the blame on that. He said, we didn't foresee the finances of the club that were in such a bad state. I raised my hand. I'm responsible for that decision. And that was a £66 ticket change. We didn't communicate it well, and we did it too quickly mid-season. So again, taking responsibility. I can't knock the fellow or knock anyone who raises their hand, holds their hands up, and takes responsibility for a mistake that's happened.
Listen, that's a CEO of a business. That's what they say. Okay, a little bit of PR. What they didn't see, the state of the club, the finances, and all that. Give over. Who you kidding? Who you kidding? And then you get the news today. You get the news today on ticket prices and everything, what's going on. Come on. Yeah. Who's he kidding?
Yeah, but okay, look at it from this point of view. How aware was Berrada of the actual finances of the club compared to the likes of Sir Jim Ratcliffe?
He wasn't aware, the same as Sir Jim Ratcliffe, okay, but what he's doing, right, is backing Sir Jim Ratcliffe, right, and giving him cover. Giving him cover. That's what he's doing with that statement, because he fully knows as a CEO that they went through the finances and everything of this football club and how perilous it was, okay? And he knew when he came in that they were going to raise prices bit by bit till you get what you've just got today, a full-on smash in the pocket for fans. So he knows, so he's waffling, his PR, right? And he's trying to, like, make us out to be idiots. And I'm not an idiot, okay, because I see the PR in everything what's been going on, because that's all it is, PR to cover the money.
Yeah, some positive PR, I suppose, on Tuesday about Project 150, you know, that aim of winning the Premier League. Then today on Wednesday, an announcement on further ticket price rises. I've not looked into it in detail, I've got to be honest, because it only just come out shortly before we come live on air, but I can read you a little quote out from Laurie Whitwell, and he says the latest ticket price rise is called Kick in the Teeth by Must, which is a fans group. Match categorisation introduced for the first time at Old Trafford, with 17 Premier League games costing a minimum of £57 for 20,000 fans. Average last year was overall £41.41.
So the fans again are paying for the mistakes of the owners, which is the Glazers, and now Sir Jim Ratcliffe. So the fans are copping it again. And if you think this is the last increase, not a chance. Wait till you get a new stadium. You look down the line here, especially in Manchester, how many people are going to be priced out going forward, and that the nature of the crowd and everything else is going to be different. The culture, everything's going to be changed. So having reading a statement out from a fans group, I mean, what does a fans group do? They're just there looking after themselves, because fans groups do nothing. I've said it since the Glazers got here. These fans groups and all that, they communicate with the club. Yeah, they communicate with the club just for themselves, because they absolutely do nothing when it comes to the priority. And these increases are absolutely outrageous, and they've been going on, and they will go on and on and on. So what is the point? Fans are going to end up paying through the nose. It's as simple as that. So where do some fans go? Some fans, their life won't be able to afford it.
Still don't understand why no one's cottoned on to the fact that no fans group should be inside that club, sitting around a table with the Glazers, who are supposedly the enemy. Because looking back on time now, you've been saying it for 20 plus years. Fans group can't do nothing, and neither does the club listen to him. So he should be breaking away from conversations, any talks, and actually putting a strategy in to do something worthwhile for the fans. But, you know, that's our opinion. Keeps sounding like a broken record, to be honest with you, but, you know, that's life. But he did talk about Berrada as well, and it was more about a football philosophy and identity as well. And he said formation doesn't matter, identity does. He said Johan Cruyff played with a 3-4-3 and nobody said it was defensive. I wouldn't spend too much time thinking about the formation. Think more about the identity. Now, identity, you know, when I think of that automatically off my head, free-flowing, attacking football, I mean, that's an identity, isn't it?
Philosophy and identity, I think it's a bit early to even talk down that line. Yeah. I think just trying
possession-based, all that kind of stuff.
I think it should be just talking about football, getting 11 players out there who want to fight for this badge. That's what they should be talking about, not philosophy and identity. Where's all that come up from? I mean, they must be on computers and all that looking for buzzwords and everything, right? What they want to do is just talk about that football pitch and getting 11 players out there who can turn this around. The football, there's no identity. What identity was there? Same again, innit? Pre-season's here. And, well, at end of the season, we're coming into it, and they're just coming out with things that just baffles me. There is no identity here, because you can't tell me what the manager knows about this squad and what he sees as the team on the pitch. He doesn't know himself. He needs new players. There is no identity.
Yeah, I suppose he can't implement that until he gets the players he wants in, because it's shown clearly last season the players in this current squad can't play to the way he wants to play, so you're not going to
get an identity.
Yeah.
This is how Man United play. I don't know how they're going to play next year. You know, if you bring it, we've got Cunha in. If Mbumo comes in, you know, and then people are talking about they want a centre forward, which I think is going to be highly unlikely we get. Right? What is going to be the identity? Has much really changed? Will much change with the squad?
I mean, I've got to go back to a good few weeks ago, really. you're preparing fans, not letting fans get too carried away about this summer transfer window, where you were saying you only expected no more than 3 signings in this summer transfer window. And as you can see up on screen as well, and this was about Manchester United's summer transfer window. Beyond the signing of Cunha and the pursuit of Mbeumo, it is expected that United will need to sell players from the fringes of the first team squad to generate funds before making further additions.
That comment there, I've been saying that for months. 2 signings, sell players, and possibly get a 3rd player in. I've been saying it for months, and people have been having a go at me. And I've turned round to people and said, we're getting linked with this player, this player, this player. I have said it for months. There's no money. It's not going to happen. I don't understand how some people haven't seen the reality of the state of this football club. It's on its knees. I wasn't joking when I said it's on its knees. It's on its knees. It hasn't got the money. It has so much to pay out on players what we've already bought and not paid for, right? We've got debt to pay for, right? The money isn't coming like it used to, right? So where was the players going to come from? If you talk about Mbeumo and Cunha, right, there's 100 million minimum, right? We're not going to pay for it all in one go because we haven't got it. But I've been saying it, and that is the reality. I don't see how this year people haven't seen the reality of the state of this football club. Now, I've heard Ruben Amorim talk about transfers and possibly get 1 or 2 players in. He said it months ago.
He said it while he was in Malaysia. We can't do too much, I think the words where he used.
That was the last time he said it, yeah.
Yeah, in Malaysia. And, we did actually discuss them comments in a video a couple of weeks back. And, for me personally, you're looking back to Sir Jim Ratcliffe. He always comes out with something you don't automatically, register in your brain. It takes you like a few weeks to come back to it. And he mentioned players like Højlund. He mentioned Anthony. He mentioned Sancho in interviews that we're still paying for them players. So even if we do actually sell them players in this window,
there's no money.
That money is not really then going to come back into reinvest for new players. That's going to go to then pay off the fees that we're still paying for him. And for Anthony, we'd be still paying for it anyway because it was 80 odd million, wasn't it?
Yeah, but we're paying for a lot of players. There's that many players we're still paying for, right? Yeah. But that's the reality of this football club, okay? And it was never going to be transfers. So when you listen out there to all these so-called experts, these reporters, okay, going, here we go. And you've got your Sky, you've got your TalkSport, you've got all other channels right round the world and everything. And you've got United fans talking about, we're going to go in for this player, this player. I've never, ever understood how anyone can come out with comments like that because they mustn't know the reality of the football club. And I've been saying it, right? Now, I'm not bigging myself up as if to say, right, it's just come out. It's not just come out. I'm only repeating what's being said by Ratcliffe, by the club, by the manager, okay, that we're not really going to go mad in the summer. There's not really too much money. But it's not once, not even twice it's been said. It's been said right through for the last 6-9 months about what was coming this summer, that the belt has to be tightened. That's why you're seeing all the penny pinching in there. There is no money. That's how poor it is. And that's why Omar Berrada should really have toned it down about what he was talking about on going forward to winning the league and all that. Because if we don't get above the 8th, we're in trouble again the following season. And then it just continues and it continues, and then we're going to struggle.
Spent a few quid, though, last summer. I suppose you could look at it from a positive point of view that some might do out there, that, if you have got a bit of money to spend, a bit of cash in the bank, you don't go around telling everyone and telling the world. So they can actually get, players in for a good investment, good transfer fees. Do you know what I mean? Well, so this is sell on value in the future.
Well, this is where to go back at Berrada, okay? They all knew, Omar Berrada knew, right? They were going to get rid, right, of Eric Ten Hag at the end of the season. But they gave him all that money for players. Now we've got a manager in, okay? For instance, if he would have lasted Eric Ten Hag, the new manager, Ruben Amorim, would have been in now. With all these players he didn't buy. So, for
I've got
me...
to be honest, though, with Berrada, with you saying that, I think you can't really put all that
I'm not putting all the blame on him.
Yeah, you can't do, because he only come into the football club, I think it was on July the 15th, let me know if I'm wrong, of last year. And I do remember when he first come out with Project 150, and it was out there in the wider world. I think it was just before or after the Liverpool game when we got spanked here 3-0, and he was actually talking about Eric Ten Hag, and other decisions weren't down to him. It was left to people who were already inside the club. So there's other people, for me, who should be getting the finger pointed at him, and then, not more so Berrada.
But we know the real world, and this is the real world. You cannot tell me, and I will not accept it, that Omar Berrada did not know what was going on inside that football club. And it was the same with him who got sacked, Dan Ashworth. They were all communicating together, okay? So if anyone out there can really seriously tell me that I'm wrong, that Omar Berrada didn't know what was going on, then I just give it all up in life. Yeah, I just give it all up, because I wouldn't know anything about life, because in life, right, people talk.
Yeah, of course, and there's all secret meetings, backhanders, handshakes, all that
and
sort
lies.
Of stuff. And lies.
And lies.
And it's a tough world to try and dissect and get through it all. But thinking about the Premier League fixtures, I mean, Arsenal first game of the season at home here at Old Trafford. I don't know what you think out there, get it in the chat, but my first thought was, I wonder which shirt Victor Gyökeres is going to be wearing, a United shirt or an Arsenal shirt. Well,
someone said to me, as soon as the fixture list come out, they better win them first 2 games, because there'll be a meltdown, right? Because the transfer window will still be open. We don't want to see a panic, but I don't believe there'll be a panic. Early season, I think it's a tough straightaway for any team at the start of the season. Yeah. Not everyone's geared up, and this is one of the things. We've got 3 games before an international break, so from that point of view, we can sort of sit back and assess it. Well, not us sit back. The manager, the club can sit back and have like a week's break, look at it and say, right, what do we need to do here? We need to sort a few things out. So for me, having 3 games and an international break is fine. Always tough for anyone. So anyone giving like, oh, we're going to beat Arsenal, we'll win the others.
To say what you're saying here, 9 points in the first 3 games.
Of course I'm saying 9 points. Yeah. I don't see anything else. We have to get the 9 points. You know, going forward, what would Omar Berrada say? After reading what he said yesterday, right, he wants them 3 games. Success is coming, okay? There's no reason why not to. It's Arsenal at home. We'll catch them cold. That's how most people will look at it. We'll catch them cold. They're playing away from home. Pressure's on them. Well, United can just go out there and go right at them. A new look Man United. How new it'll look, I don't know at this moment in time, right? But we can catch them cold, and then we should be winning the other 2. Everyone's optimistic inside that club. Omar Berrada, it's all there. So why shouldn't we be optimistic? I want 9 points. I don't want failure, and no one inside the club is expecting failure. So let's start with a positive.
Yeah, I was going to start with a positive. Trust me, I was then. But then it just come into my head that, you know, going into even pre-season before that Arsenal game, I mean, he's got a job on his hands, really, Amorim, to actually turn the mentality around inside that squad from a losing mentality into a winning mentality.
That's difficult for any manager to do.
That's what I mean.
Especially after the season we've just had, okay? Because inside there, the morale, the attitude of the players and all that, these players going to be staying, knowing the manager wants them out. The manager wants some of them players out, and they're not going for one reason. No one's going to pay them players' wages. So them players are going to sit there. So tell me, where are you going to get the morale? Where are you going to get the togetherness? We're all in the fight together and all that. Some are just going to go through the motions for the rest of the season. Some have got it in their head. Well, I'll just go through the motions. I'll put it in training. But the manager won't pick me every game and that, because he don't like me. Right? But I'm just going to pick my wages up. So the morale, and this is when I go back to what I said before, Omar Berrada's deluded if he thinks everything's going to be hunky-dory going forward, that everything's in the past. It's not. Staring you in the face. if you go by player by player by player. We mentioned 2 yesterday. Luke Shaw, Casemiro. Come on. It's there. It's staring you in the face. Casemiro, legs have gone. We all know he should go. He's not going to take United forward. His day's over. The same with Luke Shaw.
The thing is, though, what I've got to look at as well in what Amorim said recently, and what we also mentioned before the season finished, that you would expect him to work with a smaller squad. So any negative influences inside that dressing room, surely the club have to help Amorim, back him, and isolate them players away from the squad. So everyone's pulling in the right direction, surely.
Listen, you can have a smaller squad. He can work with a smaller squad. But you've still got the same poison in there. It doesn't go away because it will attract stories. Oh, he's linked to this, he's linked to that. Oh, Casemiro doesn't even look at Ruben Amorim anymore, don't even talk to him. The press are ready for it, and that's what you'll get. You don't want the what you're going to do? Have Rashford walking around the training pitch while they're across the road on another pitch training. Imagine the stories. Imagine the same stories with Sancho, okay? So where people think, and this is what gets me about Omar Berrada, right, is where does he think it's all hunky-dory and that it's all settled and that we're just going to sail through it? I'm just baffled by it, and I'm baffled by how some people pick up and sort of come at me and say, oh, you've got to be optimistic. I'm always optimistic.
Too optimistic sometimes.
Right? I'm always optimistic, but I also see reality. It's terrible in there, and it's still going to be terrible this season, and that's why I don't think we will be able to challenge, because we won't get the right personnel inside the club, okay? And the personnel, what we all think and we hope to get rid of, they won't be got rid of. It's impossible for it to happen. So the same culture and the same attitude is still in there. Do not be over-optimistic. I'm optimistic. But it's going to be tough for the manager and everyone. And it's going to be tough for the fans.
With the positive comments that, even just the snippets that I read out, what Berrada said on Amorim, you wouldn't think if we didn't get the points, well, the 9 points that we're expecting the first 3 games.
We won.
That we won, yeah. If you didn't, start off to a great start, let's say in the first 5-10 games, from them comments from Berrada, you don't see or sense a knee-jerk reaction from him or the club in his actual position as manager, though, Amorim. And that they're sticking with him for the season.
What, in them first 3 games?
No, I mean, even for the first 5 or 10 games, I've seen a lot of people mentioning about the fixture list, obviously the first 5-10 games, that if results don't go our way, and it's similar to what happened with Eric Cantona in his first points total in the first, 7 or 10 games, the same fate would happen to Ruben Amorim, but I don't sense that from his comments, Berrada.
Well,
I think that could all change.
Look, here's the situation as I see it. If it goes pear-shaped, as some people are saying out there, from the first 10 games and you get a knee-jerk reaction from Omar Berrada and that, well, that tells you Omar Berrada doesn't know what he's talking about, and the men in suits don't know what they're talking about. And that is also like me sort of saying they've already distanced themselves from any problems. It's all down to Ruben Amorim. They've distanced themselves as though it's not their fault. But in the same instance, they're telling us last year. It's all behind us. We've all got a good understanding of the way forward. We've seen the bad things. We're putting it right, and we're ready to go. And then suddenly the results go pear-shaped, and they do a knee-jerk reaction. If they do a knee-jerk reaction, okay, then everyone should be up in arms and get them out. And get them out, because they don't know what to do, how to run the biggest club in the world. They are clueless if they do a knee-jerk reaction. In the same instance, in part of that comments what Omar Berrada's talked about, he's talked about looking forward to the following couple of years with Ruben Amorim.
Like I say, people in the chat, Ansel from our members club says if we ain't top 8 by the end of October, Amorim will be sacked, I think. I hope I'm wrong, though. And
yeah, there's no chance of that. Like I say, 8 for me is a realistic target. Their realistic target is the Europa League. But, you won't know where you stand until about the end of January. That's how I see it. I think January, we've got to be in a position to be up there to achieving what the men in suits want. Do you know what I mean? But I think round about Christmas, if we're round about 8, I think that'd be. I'd understand that position. I really would, because it gives you the chance then to kick on and fight for the second half of the season to improve. What you don't want to be, right, is losing, and be about 14th.
Yeah, no, of course, I've said for a while now that the first 10 games for me personally, I need to see an improvement based on what we saw last season. I'm not talking about real progress where we're up in the mix around 4th, 5th place. I'm not saying that, but I need to see an improvement in what Amorim's doing with these players. But I'm also going to reserve judgment until that transfer window closes and to see how this club has backed Amorim, because I think most of us are on board with the thoughts that he needs players in this summer in certain positions to help us go to that sort of next level kind of thing. Yeah,
he needs players in. There's no two ways about that, right? And from the conversation I've been saying to you is I don't expect really that many players to come in, okay? That's how I see it. But one thing Ruben has to do, okay? He has to improve the players he's got there. Okay, and he has to introduce 1 or 2 other players. Will that work? I'm not too sure. I think the pressure, the weight of the shirt on some of these youngsters will affect him. Okay, but one thing he has to do, and one thing we all have to see, we have to see these players, what are in this squad, improve if they're on that pitch with whatever way Ruben Amorim sets up. Okay, we can't have it like last year. He has to improve them.
Yeah, like people are saying as
well.
It's
his job.
Yeah, this is
his job. Improve the players you've been brought in. Improve them. Yes, carnage and chaos last year, but the players what are there, right? They have to improve under Ruben Amorim.
Well, he's got more time on the training pitch. That's been mentioned by Amorim, people inside the club, that what is needed from this summer, the pre-season onwards as well. And with no European football, he's definitely got that to improve the team. A few people are mentioning their own predictions or where Manchester United will finish.
Well, that's that.
I can see a few 8ths in there. 10ths, I'm not too sure on some of the others, but Fred Grantham Members Club says rinse and repeat again and again, please no more. And you've just got to hope, like I say, from the words from Berrada, that, the structure that's in place, I'm pretty positive about it, that there is a strategy there, and let's just hope it works, because the gap between us and the likes of Liverpool up there, even Arsenal, if they improve, which Liverpool have done already, Arsenal do, that gap there, does it actually close? Does it widen up even more?
I'd be interested to know, like...
it's not even Liverpool, Arsenal. The gap between just us and Aston Villa and Newcastle.
I'm just going to say,
Chelsea.
It'd be interesting to sort of, like, have people's views on how they expect this Manchester United to improve so much to get in that top 6 and fight for a place in Europe, a possible place in Europe. So it'd be interesting, because it's okay saying, oh yeah, Man United, we should be 5th or this, and we should be in the Champions League and all that, right? But based on last season and the players we've got, it'd be interesting how have we improved so much against the teams what are up there already, who they themselves will improve vastly. Okay? So it'd be interesting to see how people explain how Man United can actually get in the top 5, possibly.
Do you know what, though? I hear a lot of comments, and I don't really disagree with them too much, but people say, Amorim will be sacked if he's still got Onana or Højlund up front next season. But if Amorim has still got them 2 players up front, and we're seeing the same performances that we've seen, especially last season, that's not Amorim's fault. It's the people inside the club who have not come and brought players in to replace them 2 players, or managed to find them 2 players clubs.
Well, at this moment...
Amorim didn't buy them 2.
No. Well, this is the thing. It's not Ruben Amorim's players. But what it is, at the moment, my prediction of Onana staying here, regardless of what I think of him, the same with Højlund, I've predicted them 2 players, I've said it for months, I don't think Manchester United, not Ruben Amorim, Manchester United, right, will want to sell them yet, okay? Højlund, I've given me reasons why, still young, still possible, there's a chance he can improve. Onana, You know, we've got to get a number one goalkeeper in, but I don't think there's any money for him out there at this moment. And at this moment, there's no one in sight as a number one goalkeeper who I see to replace, because that's what United need. So for me, them two are staying. Does Ruben Amorim really want to keep him? This is the problem. It's all if, doubt. Are they his players? Are they this? And this is the thing going into next year. And I did predict all last year, and I wasn't wrong. Carnage and chaos. Carnage and chaos. You will have it again. There is no two ways about it. You will have carnage and chaos. It's whether they can just fight on that field to overcome the distractions. And there will be many distractions in and around this football club to derail us.
On a positive note, Tom Heaton, didn't he sign a one-year contract? Or it's coming up that he will sign a one-year contract. Andre Onana, I think, goes to the African nations. You've got Bayinde still in there as well, who just absolutely scares me, probably more than Andre Onana, to be honest with you. I don't even think he can catch air. But yeah, let us know your thoughts and opinions on the topics we've discussed today in today's video. Cunha and the comparison from Berrada with his swagger to Eric Cantona, plus the Project 150 and everything else that Omar Berrada discussed. You've got your finger up. So
yeah, I think people have just got to be open at the moment. It's early. Things can drastically change by the end of the week. I'm expecting Mbeumo to be signed by the end of the week. I said it last week. He's got to sign. Got to sign. Get him in. Get it all out the way, right? But I think what it is, be optimistic, okay? But have an open mind about how next season's going to go. Yeah. But also try and look deeply at the realities of this football club and go through every player, what's inside that club, and say, is he still here? Yeah. Will he be playing? Is he Ruben Amorim's man? Did he put a shift in last year? You individually go through each player and say, is he really good enough? If we get Mbeumo in, then you look at the rest of the players. Just have a look and then go through and say, is that really a good squad?
No, I think that's absolutely bang on for the closing comments there, to be honest. People's expectations may be a little bit too much up here when really they should be about midway. But, you know, let's wait and see. Still a long way to go in this transfer window, especially. And I can't wait for the pre-season games to kick in for United, to be honest with you, just to get to watch some football and United players in a red shirt. But, yeah, thanks for joining us, everyone. Smash a like on today's video, help support the channel. And we'll be back tomorrow with another live, so get that notification on. Come and join us and have your say, and we'll see you there. Enjoy your day, and we'll see you soon. Take care. Thank you.